Chipotle employees have secrets. They know exactly how to manipulate portions, which ingredients to avoid, and what the company doesn't want you to discover about that fresh bowl you're eating. I've interviewed dozens of current and former Chipotle workers from locations across America. What they revealed will change how you order at Chipotle forever. Some of this is about getting ripped off on portions. Some of it is about food safety issues that the company tries to hide. And some of it is genuinely concerning for your health. Chipotle markets itself as fast food with integrity, fresh ingredients, no freezers, food with a face. The reality behind the counter is very different. Employees are trained in portion control tactics that shortchange you. Ingredients sit at unsafe temperatures, and the fresh claim is carefully constructed marketing, not reality. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to reveal exactly what Chipotle employees actually put in your bowl, what they won't tell you, and what they refuse to eat themselves. By the end, you'll know how to avoid getting ripped off and whether Chipotle is worth eating at all. Number 10, the portion control scam. Let's start with the most universal complaint from Chipotle customers: inconsistent portions. Some employees give you generous scoops, others give you what looks like a kid's meal. This isn't random, it's trained behavior. A former Chipotle employee revealed, "We were explicitly trained to give small portions and only add more if customers complained." Management called it portion control, but it was really about maximizing profit per bowl. A 4-ounce scoop of chicken costs Chipotle maybe $1.50. Giving you 3 ounces instead of 4 saves 50 cents per bowl. Multiply that across millions of bowls and you understand why they care. The training includes specific techniques to make portions look bigger than they are. Employees are taught to spread ingredients across the bowl rather than pile them. This creates a visual illusion of more food. A thin layer of rice covering the bowl bottom looks substantial, but might only be 3 ounces instead of the standard 4. The meat portions are where Chipotle really controls costs. The standard portion is 4 ounces. Most employees are trained to give 3 to 3.5 ounces. The serving spoon holds approximately 4 ounces when properly filled, but employees are taught to not fill it completely or to shake off excess before placing it in your bowl. A current Chipotle worker explained, "Managers watch cameras constantly. If they see you giving generous portions, you get pulled aside and retrained. We're told to give exact portions, but the exact portion is defined as slightly under the official standard. The company profits when we short customers, and they make it clear that generous employees aren't valued. The fajita vegetables, salsas, and toppings are similarly controlled. Employees use specific utensil size to deliver small portions. The salsa spoons hold about 2 ounces. Most employees give 1.5 ounce scoops. Over the course of a bowl with multiple toppings, you're getting 3 to 4 ounces less food than you should receive. The guacamole portion control is particularly aggressive because guac costs extra. The standard guac portion is 3.5 to 4 ounces. Most employees give 3 ounces or less. You're paying $2.65 extra for guacamole and getting 25% less than the stated portion. That's direct profit extraction. Chipotle's response when confronted about portion inconsistency is to blame individual employees rather than acknowledge systematic training. They claim employees are supposed to give standard portions, but multiple workers confirm the training emphasizes keeping portions small to control costs. The solution is to watch portions carefully and speak up immediately. If the chicken looks sparse, ask for more before. They move to the next ingredient. Employees are trained to comply with direct requests because confrontation slows the line. Most customers don't notice or don't want to cause a scene, which is exactly what Chipotle counts on. Number 9, the rice isn't fresh. Chipotle claims everything is made fresh daily. The rice tells a different story. That rice in your bowl was cooked hours ago, possibly yesterday, and has been sitting in warming containers, deteriorating in quality and potentially harboring bacteria. A former Chipotle kitchen worker revealed, "We cooked rice in the morning and kept it warm all day. By evening, the rice was dry, hard around the edges, and sometimes developing off smells. We'd add water and stir it to revive the texture, but it wasn't fresh. On slow days, rice would sit overnight in coolers and get reheated the next morning. Rice is a known food safety concern when held at improper temperatures. Bacillus cereus spores survive cooking and can multiply when rice is kept between 40 and 100 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Chipotle's warming containers are supposed to maintain rice above 140 degrees, but temperature fluctuations occur throughout the day. The cilantro lime rice recipe includes lime juice and cilantro mixed into cooked white rice. Sounds fresh, except the rice is often hours old when the lime and cilantro are added. Adding fresh ingredients to old rice doesn't make the rice fresh. It makes old rice taste slightly less stale. The brown rice situation is even worse. Brown rice takes longer to cook, so it's prepared in larger batches less frequently. A Chipotle employee said, "Brown rice would sit for 8 to 10 hours easily. We'd keep adding water to prevent it from drying out completely. By closing time, the brown rice was gummy and mushy. Customers who ordered brown rice at dinner were getting rice cooked at breakfast. The portion sizes for rice are also deceptive. The standard is 4 ounces. Most employees give 3 to 3.5 ounces. Since rice is the base of the bowl and the cheapest ingredient, reducing the rice allows Chipotle to give the appearance of portion control while maximizing profit margin. Rice should be cooked fresh in small batches throughout the day." The fact that Chipotle cooks large batches and holds them for hours reveals that their fresh food claims are marketing, not operational reality. Fresh food doesn't sit in warming containers for 10 hours. Number 8, the meat quality issues. Chipotle markets its meat as responsibly raised, hormone-free, and high quality. Employees who handle the meat daily tell a different story about quality, preparation, and food safety concerns. The chicken arrives pre-marinated and pre-cooked. It's not raw chicken seasoned and grilled fresh at your location. It's chicken that's been cooked at a central facility, shipped to stores, and reheated on the grill. The grill marks are real, but they're being applied to already cooked chicken for appearance. A former Chipotle grill worker explained, "The chicken came in bags, fully cooked and seasoned. We'd throw it on the grill to char the outside and heat it through. It wasn't fresh grilled chicken, it was reheated pre-cooked chicken. The marinade was applied before it reached our store. We were basically warming up and marking chicken that had been cooked days earlier." The steak quality varies dramatically. Chipotle uses different beef cuts depending on supply and cost. Sometimes it's a reasonable quality steak. Other times it's tough, gristly cuts that employees have to chop aggressively to make remotely chewable. Customers have no way to know which quality level they're getting until they eat it. The carnitas situation is particularly concerning. After Chipotle's carnitas supplier issues in 2015, they've struggled with consistent carnitas sourcing and quality. Multiple employees report that carnitas often arrives with excessive fat and gristle that should be trimmed, but often isn't due to time pressures. The barbacoa is the most heavily processed meat option. It arrives fully cooked in bags, heavily seasoned to mask lower quality beef. The texture is mushy, and the flavor is dominated by spices rather than beef. Employees consistently rank barbacoa as the lowest quality meat option. A current Chipotle employee said, "I eat chicken if I eat anything, because at least you can see what you're getting. The barbacoa and carnitas are mystery meat situations. You don't know what cuts are in there or how long they've been sitting. The sofritas is actually safer because it's just tofu with seasoning. At least you know what it is." The meat holding times are also concerning. Once cooked or reheated, meat sits in warming pans for hours. Employees are supposed to track hold times, but during busy periods, meat sits well beyond safe hold times. By dinner rush, you might be eating chicken that was grilled at lunch. Number 7, the cross-contamination problem. Chipotle's assembly line setup looks efficient, but it's a cross-contamination nightmare. Employees move between ingredients constantly with the same gloves, using the same utensils, rarely changing anything between orders. A Chipotle employee explained, "We'd wear the same gloves for hours, handling meat, cheese, vegetables, everything. Officially, we're supposed to change gloves between orders if someone has allergies, but during busy times, that never happens. The gloves touch meat, then cheese, then lettuce, all without changing. The serving spoons are used interchangeably. The spoon that scooped chicken goes into rice. Everything is cross-contaminated constantly. For people with serious allergies, Chipotle's assembly line is dangerous. The cutting boards tell a similar story. A former prep worker revealed, "We use the same cutting boards for everything. Chicken, steak, vegetables, all on the same boards. We'd rinse them between uses, but it wasn't sanitizing. The sour cream and cheese sit out at room temperature for hours. Employees scoop from them repeatedly with spoons that have touched other ingredients. By day's end, these containers have been contaminated by everything everything else on the line. A former Chipotle employee with severe allergies said, "I would never eat at Chipotle with my allergies. The cross-contamination is unavoidable. They can't guarantee anything is allergen-free because everything touches everything." If what you've heard so far has shocked you, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're about to reveal even worse secrets, including what employees absolutely refuse to eat. Number 6. The vegetable freshness lie. Chipotle's vegetables aren't fresh. They're prepared hours or days in advance, stored in plastic bags, and lose nutrients and flavor the entire time before they reach your bowl. The lettuce arrives pre-shredded in bags from a central facility. It's not whole lettuce heads cleaned and cut fresh at your location. It's lettuce that was processed days ago, bagged, shipped, and sitting in storage. By the time it reaches your bowl, it's 3 to 5 days old and has lost significant nutritional value. A Chipotle prep worker revealed the lettuce came in giant plastic bags. We'd open them and portion them into smaller containers. Half the time, the lettuce was already browning around the edges. We'd pick out the worst pieces, but we still served lettuce that was clearly not fresh. During slow periods, the same lettuce would sit for 2 to 3 days before selling out. The fajita vegetables are cut on site, which sounds fresh until you learn they're cut in the morning and sit all day before being cooked. The peppers and onions are exposed to air, oxidizing and losing vitamin content for 8 to 12 hours before they're grilled. By evening, you're eating vegetables that were cut at 6 a.m. The tomatoes for salsa are supposed to be diced fresh daily. The reality is, they're often diced in the morning and sit until they're needed. The high water content in tomatoes makes them particularly susceptible to bacterial growth when sitting at room temperature. The salsas sitting on the line have been at room temperature for hours. The corn salsa is particularly problematic. Corn, peppers, onions, and cilantro mixed together and sitting at room temperature create ideal conditions for bacterial growth. The citrus juice provides some protection, but several employees reported corn salsa developing off smells by the end of busy days. A former Chipotle manager admitted, "The fresh vegetable marketing is misleading. We weren't cooking vegetables from whole ingredients each time someone ordered. We were prepping everything hours in advance, storing it and assembling it as needed. Real Fresh would be cutting vegetables per order. That's not scalable. So Chipotle does assembly line fresh, which isn't fresh at all." The cilantro used throughout Chipotle's menu items is another concern. Cilantro is one of the most pesticide-contaminated vegetables and requires thorough washing. Multiple employees reported that cilantro washing was rushed and inadequate. The cilantro often still had dirt and debris when it was chopped and added to rice and salsas. Number 5. The guacamole markup scam. You're paying $2.65 extra for guacamole that costs Chipotle approximately 40 cents to make. The markup is almost 700%, but it gets worse when you learn what's actually in that guacamole. The guacamole is made from a mix of fresh avocados and avocado paste. The paste is essentially processed avocado that extends the fresh avocado further and reduces costs. A former Chipotle prep worker revealed, "We'd mix fresh avocados with this avocado paste from bags. The ratio varied based on avocado prices. When avocados were expensive, we used more paste. Customers couldn't tell the difference once lime juice and seasonings were mixed in. The guacamole is also made in large batches in the morning and sits all day. Avocado oxidizes and browns rapidly when exposed to air. Chipotle adds extra lime juice to slow browning, but by evening, the guacamole is noticeably darker and has been sitting at room temperature for 8 to 10 hours. The portion size deception compounds the ripoff. You're paying $2.65 for guacamole and receiving 3 ounces or less. Fresh avocados cost approximately $1 each wholesale. One avocado yields about 4 ounces of guacamole. Chipotle is giving you 3/4 of an avocado worth of guac for $2.65, a markup of over 350% even using generous math. A Chipotle employee who made guacamole explained, "The guac was our highest margin item. Management watched guacamole portions obsessively. We'd get reprimanded for giving generous guac scoops. The company knows guac is pure profit because customers pay extra and we control portions tightly. The hand-mashed guacamole claim is technically true but misleading. It's hand-mashed in large quantities hours before service, not made fresh for your order. The hand-mashing is about maintaining chunky texture, not about freshness or quality. The difference between hand-mashed guacamole made fresh and hand-mashed guacamole made 8 hours ago is substantial. The ingredients in Chipotle's guacamole are simple: avocados, lime juice, cilantro, red onion, jalapeno, and salt. salt. Nothing exotic or expensive. The markup isn't justified by ingredient cost. It's pure profit extraction from customers willing to pay for guacamole. Multiple employees said they'd never pay for guacamole at Chipotle because they know the markup and quality don't match the price. They'd rather buy avocados and make guacamole at home for a fraction of the cost with better quality and freshness. Number 4, the queso is ultra-processed. Chipotle spent years claiming it couldn't make queso because it wouldn't use artificial ingredients. When they finally launched queso, it was a disaster. Their solution was to make it more processed while claiming it's still better. The current queso recipe contains modified food starch and cultured dextrose, both highly processed ingredients. The natural queso isn't natural. It's a carefully formulated processed cheese product. A former Chipotle employee explained, "The queso comes in bags, pre-made. We heat it in hot water baths and serve it. There's nothing fresh about it. The marketing says it's made with real cheese, but it's still heavily processed cheese product." The price for queso is $1.95 extra. The cost to Chipotle is approximately 30 to 40 cents per portion. That's a 400% markup for processed cheese product. Multiple employees said they never order queso because they know it's an overpriced processed cheese product. They'd rather get extra cheese or skip it entirely. Number 3, the soda. Fountain neglect. The soda fountains at Chipotle are rarely cleaned properly and harbor mold, bacteria, and residue that you're consuming with every drink. A former Chipotle employee revealed the soda fountains were supposed to be deep cleaned weekly. In reality, they'd go months without proper cleaning. The nozzles would get crusty. The ice bin would have visible mold. The soda nozzles are particularly problematic. Soda syrup creates sticky residue that attracts bacteria. Without regular sanitization, these nozzles become bacterial breeding grounds. The ice machines are even worse. Ice bins are dark, damp environments perfect for mold growth. Several employees reported finding black mold in ice machines that hadn't been cleaned in months. Multiple employees said they never drink from the soda fountain at Chipotle. They'd bring water bottles from home because they knew the fountain maintenance was inadequate. When employees won't consume something they see daily, that's a red flag. Number 2, what employees actually eat. When employees who see the food preparation daily avoid certain menu items, you should pay attention. Current and former Chipotle workers revealed what they actually order versus what they serve customers. Most employees order bowls with white rice, black beans, chicken, cheese, and lettuce. That's it. No fajita vegetables, no salsas, no sour cream, no guacamole, despite getting it free as employees. They stick to the simplest, least processed, least contamination-prone items. A current Chipotle employee explained, "I order plain bowls because I know what goes into everything else. The salsas sit out all day. The sour cream gets contaminated. The fajita vegetables are swimming in oil. I eat the basics that I know are relatively safe and fresh." The corn salsa is universally avoided by employees who've worked at Chipotle for any length of time. Multiple workers mentioned that corn salsa develops concerning smells and appearance by evening, but is still served because it technically hasn't exceeded hold times. The chips are another thing employees avoid. A former Chipotle worker revealed, "The chip oil gets reused until it's dark brown and smoking. We were supposed to change it regularly, but it's expensive, so managers would stretch it. The chips are fried in oil that's been used hundreds of times. They taste good because of salt, but they're fried in degraded oil that's probably producing harmful compounds." Several employees said they'd never eat at Chipotle as customers if they had other options. The combination of portion control tactics, food safety concerns, and knowledge of how things are actually prepared makes the experience too frustrating and concerning for people who work there. One particularly telling comment from a former manager, "Chipotle's marketing is brilliant. They've convinced people they're eating healthy, fresh food. The reality is, it's fast food with better PR, the assembly line, the pre-prepped ingredients, the hold times. It's all fast food operations with premium pricing and fresh food branding." Number 1, the food safety violations. And here's the most concerning revelation from Chipotle employees. Food safety violations happen constantly, are often covered up, and the company prioritizes throughput over safety. Chipotle has had numerous food safety incidents over the years. E. coli outbreaks in 2015, norovirus outbreaks across multiple locations, salmonella contamination. These weren't isolated incidents. They revealed revealed systematic food safety problems in Chipotle's operations. A former Chipotle employee who worked during the outbreak period explained after the outbreaks, corporate set new food safety protocols, but implementing them while maintaining speed is nearly impossible. Managers pressure employees to move fast, which means shortcuts. Temperature checks get skipped, hand washing becomes less frequent. The protocols exist on paper, but aren't consistently followed. The temperature danger zone for food is between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Food held in this range for more than 4 hours becomes unsafe. Chipotle's warming containers are supposed to maintain hot food above 140 degrees, but temperature fluctuations are common. Employees reported food sitting in the danger zone regularly without being discarded. The hand washing compliance is particularly concerning given Chipotle's food assembly process. Employees are supposed to wash their hands frequently, but during rush periods, this becomes impractical. A former employee admitted, during lunch rush, you don't have time to wash hands properly between orders. You'd need to wash hands literally every 30 seconds to meet the protocol. Instead, you wear gloves and hope they provide enough protection, but you're still touching everything. The cleaning and sanitization schedules are also frequently compromised. Closing procedures include deep cleaning all equipment and surfaces. But when stores are understaffed or employees are rushed, cleaning gets abbreviated. A former closing manager said, "Corporate wanted us out by midnight. Proper cleaning takes until 1 a.m. We had to choose between following protocols or keeping our jobs. We did quick surface cleaning and hoped it was enough." Multiple employees mentioned finding rodent droppings in storage areas and having to serve food from those same areas because management didn't want to waste inventory. The presence of pests indicates serious sanitation problems, yet the response was often to clean the visible mess and continue operations. The most damning insight came from a former Chipotle manager who left the company. Chipotle's growth outpaced their ability to maintain standards. They opened thousands of locations without adequate infrastructure to ensure consistency and safety. Each store operates semi-independently with variable management quality. Misen good, iTunes. Stores exist, but so do stores with serious problems. Customers have no way to know which type they're eating at. Okay, I know that was a lot of disturbing information. You're probably wondering if you should ever eat at Chipotle again. Here's what you should do if you still choose to eat there. Order during off-peak hours when food is more likely to be fresh and employees aren't rushed. Go at 2 p.m. or 8 p.m., not during lunch or dinner rush. Watch the assembly process carefully. If meat looks dried out or vegetables look wilted, ask when they were prepared. Employees are required to answer honestly. If they hesitate or can't answer, consider that a red flag. Stick to simple orders. The more ingredients, the more opportunities for cross-contamination and old food. White rice, black beans, chicken, cheese, and lettuce is the safest combination according to employees. Skip the salsas unless they look freshly made. If they're sitting low in containers or look dried around the edges, they've been out too long. Ask for fresh salsa or skip it entirely. Don't pay for guacamole. The markup is ridiculous and the quality doesn't justify the price. Buy avocados and make guacamole at home if you want to. Avoid drinking from the soda fountain, bring your own water, or buy bottled drinks. The fountain's cleanliness is questionable at most locations. Speak up about portions. If it looks skimpy, ask for proper portions before they move to the next ingredient. Employees are trained to comply with direct requests. Better yet, make burrito bowls at home. Rice, beans, meat, or tofu, vegetables, cheese, and salsa. Everything Chipotle makes can be replicated at home for a fraction of the cost with better quality and actual freshness. Have you had concerning experiences at Chipotle? Do these employee revelations match what you've seen? Drop a comment below and share this with everyone who eats at Chipotle regularly. They need to know what's really in their bowl. Subscribe for more restaurant investigations because companies like Chipotle profit from you not knowing what employees know. See you in the next one.